Good morning, everybody. And this is our first class. Sorry, I was not in the country, so I couldn't join you, though you got the tunes, right? So you have the presentations, all of you. This presentation and how this subject operates. We will have 15 to 16 lecture notes and roughly around 20 classes. The subject covers from acquisition of customers to recoveries and provisioning part. So we will discuss everything from customer acquisition to recoveries. When we go to the presentation, first day, we will discuss these 4 points. Introduction to credit, bank lending, best practices, and type of lending. I hope you can see this slide, but it is actually 3 slides. Because of PDF file, you see it as 1. But who are we as bankers? Can you recognize these 2 pictures? Money lending people in the market. Then who are they? Doctors and nurses who will evaluate your body in giving medicine. If you get medicine more than what you require, you will die. If you get medicine less than what you require, you will die again. Right? So their aim is to give the proper amount of medicine as you require. Then there is another slide here showing us, actual us. Customer service is the key. Right? Every day we talk about customer service. Customer is the king. Right? So what I say, we are basically money lenders. Bankers means money lending, because our main job is to lend money to the economy. But if you lend money more than required or less than required, you will kill projects. Therefore, you have to lend only the required amount. So I call us as financial doctors. All credit people are financial doctors, because you have to lend proper amount of money. Then goes fast. Who is a customer? On theory, customer is the king. But when it comes to credit, customer is someone who thinks of his wealth and who wants to increase his wealth. So when you are treating a customer for liability, you will have to treat one way. When you are treating a customer for credit, you have to treat another way. Otherwise, this will happen to you. Till they get the money they want, they will come behind you. Time they get their money, you will have to go behind them. So we need to put all the conditions to protect the bank. Right? Then we come to the point, what is credit? It is 2 things. Under finance, it is 1. Under commercial trade, it is 1. But 2 meanings, but 1 thing. Finance, credit is granting of loans and creation of debt. We give money and we create a debt. On commercial trade, it is used to refer to the approval to delayed payments for purchased goods. So again, we are creating a debt. We are pushing the payment into a later date. We are not collecting upfront. If you collect upfront, then it is a cash sale. If you push it to a future date, then it will become a debt. So both, it says creation of debt, granting of loan, because we play with money. Bankers play with money. We lend others money. So the good what we are selling is money. On commercial trade, anything from a nail to a rocket, right? So granting of a loan and creation of debt is credit under finance. Under commercial trade, it is the approval for delayed payment for purchased goods, right? Cover this. What is credit management? Here, can you see the board this side? Can someone text me whether you can see this or not? This part? Yes, right. Right? Okay, thank you. So let me draw a draft. Let me first show you this. Managing provision of credit and its recovery, right? That is credit management. Okay. So it goes like this. Right? You have origination, right? Credit origination, evaluation, approval, legal documentation, disbursement. I'll read it out later. Then follow-ups, recoveries, final collections. Monitoring. This is the point at which the money will go out of the bank. So this part is pre-approval monitoring, post-approval monitoring. We have something called EWS, early warning signals. Then we have impair. All of these processes will cover by an umbrella called credit policy. we have department and smaller umbrellas, SME, corporate, retail, term loans, leases, small department and product umbrellas. Including all those things, it is called the credit policy, right? So this is our subject. We will be discussing from origination, how to evaluate a customer, approvals, delegations and those things, then follow-up mechanisms, disbursement, legal documentation, which comes under collection, pre-disbursement monitoring and post-disbursement monitoring, early warning signals and impairment, and the credit policy overall cover. So this is credit management. From this point to this point, it is called credit management. And again, this credit management, it has to be a win-win thing. Bank can't win by the customer losing. So both bank and the customer both has to win. In this context, credit should be managed appropriately. Provisioning of credit and recoveries. This is not in your presentation. You can write it down. I will write it again in a later class, right? So top line, just give me 1 minute. This is the credit policy umbrella. Then you have sub policies, product wise, department wise policies. This corner, origination, evaluation, approval, loan documentation, legal documentation. You can write disbursement here or you can write disbursement here. It's better you write it here. Then follow up and monitoring, recoveries, and final in recovery. So litigations. Then pre-approval monitoring and post-approval monitoring. Early warning signals and provisioning or impairment. We will be discussing all these things, but you better write it down. I'll give you 1 minute there. I'll pause it for 1 minute so you can write it down. Right? Then we go to the presentation again. Any idea who they are? Name is given there. Natukoti Chettiars. Natukoti Chettiar. 17th century. Actually, we consider them as the forefathers of Sri Lankan banking, modern banking, right? When Suddhas were ruling our country, they didn't trust us. So these people from South India, they came to our country. They were the initial money lenders in this country, right? Then after that, Suddas came in, and these people, they lend it to them. Foreigners, the English people, they lend it to these people, and in turn, they lend the Sri Lankans. Subsequently, English people started to lend to Sri Lankans, but these people had to guarantee, right? Because they were very honest and they were sharp on recoveries and evaluation. Their job was to lend money. I have given a separate handout. Have you received that? This is the history of Natukoti Chettiars. Did you receive a separate word handout? Can you hear me? Right? So this is, I don't think this will come into your exams, but this is for the knowledge, right? Then we'll go to commercial banks. Right? Sorry. Primary function of a commercial bank. What is our primary function? We act as financial intermediaries. Otherwise, what will happen? Cases like Sakwiti, they were directly getting money and lending. No guarantee in between. But as a bank, we take money from the citizens of a country and we lend it to businesses or consumption purpose. And we give a guarantee of returning. That guarantee comes as the banking sector. Right? So, our financial intermediation is twofold. Right? Again, we go there. Right? Financial intermediation, our job, I told you that we are money lenders, right? We have two jobs. First one is to mobilize deposits. If the money kept in houses or somewhere out, there is no use for the economy. So you need to get that money, which is with our houses, like you have till, you have put lot of money, then you have Pinkata, you have lot of money there, temples, all religious places. If we don't bring that money into the economic system, there is no value to that money. So as a banker, our first job is deposit mobilization. Second job is lending. Okay, we bring money into the banking system, but if we don't lend it to productive purposes, again, no value. So financial intermediation is of two parts. First is the liability mobilization. Second one is lending, right? So our core business, business is twofold: liability and lending. Right? So a bank's turnover is generated by two mechanisms. First one is the core business. This one. By doing these two, we earn interest income. Right? By doing the same thing or other added services, we generate fee income. So banks' turnover revenue consists of interest income here, this one, and fee income. Always interest income is generated by the core business of the bank: deposit mobilization and lending. Whereas through this process and any other process, we earn fee income and commission. That is out of the core business. So our banking system revenue generation comes from the core business, which is interest income. Then we get fee income, which is also derived from the core business or any other businesses. Like all banks these days, we sell insurance. Right? So fee income comes from insurance. Right? Again, one of our main income generator is current accounts. Right? Current accounts. If you return a check, you charge how much? 5,000 rupees. So that is a fee income. If you give a OD, you charge 24%. That is a interest income. Right? So core business bring interest income to the bank. There are two types of banks. Based on the focus of the bank, we classify banks. First type is wholesale banks. Those banks purely focus on business lending, financing projects, businesses. The other type of banks are retail banks, who looks after the human being, who looks after you and me, who looks after our requirements, the personal requirements. So those are called retail banks. However, currently there are no pure wholesale banks or pure retail banks. In Sri Lanka, we don't have any wholesale bank. Earlier we had DFCC, we had NDB, subsequently we have Lankaputra. They were development banks. After that, we privatized all or merged. Lankaputra was merged with RDB. Now, but same time, Sampath was started as a retail bank. But now, NDB, which was started as a development bank, looks after the retail requirements. Sampath, which started as a retail bank, looked after the requirement of businesses now. So we both do the same thing. So there is no specific development bank or wholesale bank or retail bank in Sri Lanka at the moment. But in the world, there are specific banks who looks after only retail requirements or who looks after only development requirements. Those are development banks. So we call wholesale banks or retail banks based on the focus the bank will have. Again, any bank will have two goals, because currently the number of good loans available in the market is very, very small. That's why NPL has skyrocketed. Right? So the banks need to balance the quality of the loan portfolio and the size of the loan portfolio, loan volume and loan quality. We just can't give only the best quality loans, because then our book will be very small and our margins will be very small. So you have to take a risk and consider little risky. See, our subject, the lending, revolve around one point. That is risk return trade-off. Risk return trade-off. Higher the risk, higher the return. Lower the risk, lower the return. Right? So our subject, the lending subject, not the credit management side, lending part of it, revolves around risk return trade-off. Right? We go to the presentation. Now, again, loan volume and loan quality. When we look at these two, we have to manage 4 points. Liquidity requirement. What is liquidity requirement? The money you need to pay your depositors. Right? Heard about liquidity ratio, which is 20% of your liability book. That means at any given time, if 20% of your liability holders come to your bank, you should be able to pay them. So always cash in hand, short-term deposits, everything, you have to maintain 20% of your liabilities for that. Then capital constraint. What is capital? We will discuss these things later. Capital is our owner's share capital and few other things, the owner's funds. So always we need to have money to lend. We just can't get deposits and lend. Each loan should be a combination of borrowed money, which is the depositor's money, and owner's money. Then risk concern. I spoke to you about risk return trade-off. Are we going for very high risk? Are we going for moderate risk? Or are we on the low risk base? Return objective. Do we need profit or are we charity? None of the banks are charity. That's why out of 26 banks, 5 banks are in top 10. Right? So we are basically profit earning bodies. Right? So our shareholders want profits. Therefore, we have a return objective. So two things, loan volume and loan quality the bank has to manage in order to grow the business. While doing that, you have to balance these 4 points. Credit culture. What is the culture? In Sri Lanka, we say we have a very good culture, 2,500 years old. Now, there were humans 48,000 years ago, the latest. We are one of the oldest civilized countries in the world. Our civilization goes beyond the African. Earlier it was up to 40,000, now it is 48,000. Ours, it is 48,000 now. So we have a culture. It is the common belief, common way of thinking, right? So same way, banks also, we have a culture. It is how we lend. The fundamental practices that drive lending activity and how management analyze risk. Sometimes just think about your superiors. Some people, they are okay to lend. Some people, they are not. Sometimes at this moment of time, can you freely give a OD? No, because we have tightened our processes, how we analyze risk, we have tightened it, so we don't lend. So the culture has changed a little bit. Lending has come into a little slower phase these days. The fundamental principles that drive lending activity and how management analyze risk define the culture, lending culture of the bank, right? There are three potentially different credit cultures. Value driven culture, second one current profit driven, market share driven. What do you mean by value driven culture? Value driven means we will not, again it is one extreme of risk return trade off. We will not take risk. Our risk is minimal. So return will be very, very small. Think about customers like John Keels. Can you lend at 17%, 18%? No. If we want to lend to John Keels, it will be AWPLR minus, because their credit worthiness is very, very high, right? Sorry. Right? So their credit worthiness is very high. Therefore, they demand lower rates, right? But if you consider a micro loan or an individual, their risk may be higher. So we will have a higher margin, right? Two extremes, individual or small business, SME or corporate, right? Risk is low, low risk, therefore return small. High risk, high return, right? So under value driven culture, we will focus on this side. We will consider lending only to very low risk customers. So our return will be low, but our NPL will also be low. So we have a very good credit portfolio. When you come to this side, the second category, this one, current profit driven, right? We will consider the current profit. Like we will go behind, we think okay, we need 7 billion profit this year. What is the easiest way to get 7 billion profit? Give high margin products. To whom can you give high margin products? It is for the high risk category. It can be customers, it can be products. Credit cards, we consider as a high risk. TODs, we consider as high risk. So here you will not have credit cards or OD portfolios, very low amount. But when you are talking about profit driven culture, somewhere here, you will have credit cards, you will have clean products. When a product is going to be clean, no security, then the pricing will be higher to adjust for that security. Risk, return, trade-off. Right? Personal loans. You consider all those things. Then we come to the third, market share driven. We want to capture the market. Everyone in the market has to be our customer, like thinking. So you capture from the highest, largest customer to the smallest customer. So it is a combination of high risk and low risk. But you want number of customers to be very high. Out of the market, the maximum amount you can get. So value driven culture, current profit driven, which focus on profits. Third one is the market share. Those are the three distinctive cultures we have. We have another one, that's no culture. Right? Right. Then we come to another point, but unfortunately, this is the final slide of the entire thing, but you have a separate lecture on this subject. This one, we started with customer acquisition and evaluation. How do you evaluate a customer? Right? Credit equals getting married. It is very easy to get married. It is very easy to give a loan. Right? When you marry, you just have to sign and pronounce the names. Then you are married. Done. Credit also, approve, facility granted. But the difficult part is before marriage, preparation for the marriage. And for the credit also, the difficult part is for preparation for approval, preparation for granting this. How do we evaluate a customer? See, whatever said and done, behind any credit, there is a person. So basically, you evaluate that person and the business. Right? Can you text me someone when you are going to get, I don't know how old you are because I don't see your faces. Right? If you are going to get married, what is the first thing you will look at? Text me someone. Some answers from the crowd. Okay. Vishwa, right? Shenuka, thank you. Spot on. Right? They say character. Yes. I was telling this story in one of the banks. I was on a training and I asked the crowd, what is the first thing you look at? One girl told me height. Actually, she is a 6-footer. She was maybe around 5'11", right? So she told me height. Someone else told me the job. Those we look at subsequently. But character is the first thing when you look at when married. සිංහල කියමනක් තියෙනවනේ. වැරදි ගෑණි බැන්ද මිනිහා අමාරුවේ කියලා. ඒ වගේම තමයි වැරදි මිනිහා බැන්ද ගෑණිත් අමාරුවේ. Right? So character is the first thing when you get married. Similarly, when you lend, again, first point is character. First one is character. Right? How do you evaluate character? Tell me one way of evaluating character. On business, interviews, KYC, CRIP, definitely. CRIP is the key evaluation point when you look at the character, right? There can't be very good customers, but red CRIP, right? If you are a good customer, you have to have a green CRIP. Then even like we can, not in Sri Lanka yet, but in other countries, even they go to the extent to evaluate how you pay your electricity bill, how you pay your telephone bills, your credit worthiness. Under the character, what we evaluate is the willingness to pay. Right? Okay, that's the first one. Second one, capital. How much money the customer has invested, the owner has invested, right? Under this, we look at how much money the customer has invested. Third point, capacity. How much can the borrower pay, right? How much can a borrower pay? Because we can't finance dreams. When customer comes and asks you for money, the customer should be able to pay at least 50 to 60% of what he is asking. Businesses, where can you see? This point? This point you can see. Right? Businesses won't grow like this. Business is always like this. Ups and downs. Gradually growth. Right? Today I can't pay 50,000. You give me the loan, I will pay 500,000. It won't happen. If you want to pay something, at least today I can pay 300,000. So you give me the loan, I will build my business and pay 500,000, reasonable. Right? Ability to pay. Then fourth one, conditions. Right? This is not the conditions we put forward to a customer. This is the environment condition. This is not environment per se. This is the business environment. See, prior to April 2019, we had enough tourists in the country. After April, we lost the tourism business. With this new COVID, the entire world lost the tourism business. So are we going to fund a tourism business now? Today, are we going to fund a tourism business? That is condition. Where my customer is in. Is it the good business, conducive environment? Are you going to fund a tea factory, tea exports? Yes, it is an export. We earn foreign currency. Tea is one of the most wanted things because of COVID. Right? So we are happy to fund tea factories. But if someone comes and asks for a hotel at this moment of time, we may not be financing. Right? Fifth one is collateral. Your dowry. Right? If everything goes wrong, we have another way to get ourselves covered. Collateral. But it is the last thing we look at. First, we look at all those things. If the customer is good, we look at this as the second way out. So these 5 is called 5 C's of credit. Right? This is one model we use. We will elaborate on this maybe the 6th or the 7th lecture. Right? Right. So all those things are under this slide. Right. Then we have lending principles and best practices. Right. There are 9 best practices or lending principles. Safety. Your first and foremost, when you are talking about credit or lending, the first and foremost thing is safety of money. Why? You give a loan, you can't take it. What's the problem? Whose money are you lending? You are lending depositors' money. It is not your money. Each and every cent you lend, you are responsible to bring it back with a profit. You can't lend, right? I take deposit, then we give loans, and the borrower does not pay. When the depositor comes, we say we gave a loan. Now the customer is not paying, so we can't return your money. Can you do that? No, you can't. Then you become a sakpiti again. Right? Financial intermediation. You are the center. You get one thing, money from the depositors. You have an underlying assurance that we will return your money. Using that money, you lend, you earn profit from there to pay interest to the depositors. Right? So deposit mobilization is your key point. Lending is your second point. Both to earn income. So in this process, you have to make sure that the money you lend is safe. Right? You have to evaluate the customer properly before giving. You have to collect each and every cent you lend. So we should not have NPLs, but without NPL, no lending as well. But major part we should be able to collect. Ability of the banker to critically assess the borrower's capacity to repay the borrowed amount together with the interest. right? In present context, this factor is very important. Problem credit. SME sector, some banks even has reached around 20% NP, right? Though our overall NP is in the range of 5 to 7, SME retail has shown a huge jump because of the economy, right? So when you have NP problems, you can't tell that to a depositor. See what happened to Golden Key, what has happened to the finance, right? Depositors has given money, right? But now they can't take their money out. We have another word here. We have another word. Credit risk, right? Our subject revolves around this word, credit risk. Very layman words, ability to get my money back. This is the meaning of these two words on very, very layman terms. Ability to get my money back, right? So we are the bank, right? We have depositors. We have borrowers, right? Two types. We are the bank. When someone comes and gives you a deposit, they run into this risk. Will the bank give me my money when I need? Depositors runs into credit risk with the bank. Will my bank pay me when I want? As agreed. When we give loans and deposits, right? When the bank gives a loan, the bank runs into the credit risk. Will my borrowers repay? As agreed. Will my borrowers repay? Right? At that point of time, bank runs into the credit risk. When you are getting a deposit, depositor runs into the credit risk thinking that will my bank pay me back, right? So when your credit risk goes very high here, this will go very high. Why? They have given us money, we have lent it, we are not getting our money back. Then we are not in a position to repay the depositors. That's why security has come into the first point, safety of money, right? Then the second point is liquidity. Do I have the bank enough liquid money to pay the depositors, right? In order to get that, all the facilities we have granted should be repaid or collected on regular intervals. Right? Two things, going into very bad, that is NPL, those things, that is credit risk, loss cases. Then there is another thing. They are paying, but they are not meeting the deadlines. Month-end payment, they pay after another 20 days. So that means our collection is getting delayed. Right? You may think we never face that. Yes, because bank is a huge body with lot of money, you don't feel it. But at treasury, cash management is the key. How much we will get, how much we have to pay. So on this, we have a smaller portion which is called collection. Think like this. There is a bank which their main business is giving housing loans. Right? But all their deposits are 1 month, 2 months, 3 months deposits. When you grant housing loan, it runs for over 10 years. Right? So we say you granted a housing loan of 10 million for 10 years. We say 12 million for 10 years. How much you get for a month? We will get around 100,000 a month. Right? If your deposits are 1 month or 3 months deposits, can you repay that deposit? You can't, because you have lended long term, whereas your deposits are short term. So you should have enough money coming in regularly to pay your depositors. That is liquidity. Liquidity. Bank ability to get the advance liquidated expeditiously. Financial intermediation, customer deposit should be paid immediately or at short notice. Right? So we should be able to collect our money. Third point, profitability. I told you we are not charity organization. We have to have profits. Our shareholders need profit. You need your bonus. You need your salary. You need your salary increments. You need your concessionary housing loans. So in order to do that, you need profitability. Spread or balanced portfolio. What is that? See, if one bank or one branch has given all the loans to tourism industry, what will happen to that branch? No income. Right? Do you agree? Right? No income, because everything moratorium. Because tourism industry has collapsed. Right? So you have to have a mix of portfolios. You should have tourism, you should have transport, you should have agriculture, like that, a balance one. Then if one sector goes bad, we don't have a problem. Right? We call it concentration risk. We will look at it later. Right? So you need to have balanced portfolio. Then the purpose. We lend for two things. Right? We lend for two things. One is commercial purposes or consumption purposes. We lend for businesses or we lend for day-to-day requirement. But we don't lend for any illegal purposes or speculative purposes. මොනවා හරි වැඩි කරන්න කියලා හිතාගෙන invest කරනවා. Right? We don't give our money for speculative purposes. Productive or consumption, not for speculative, not for illegal purposes. Right? Weapon, pornography, all those things are illegal purposes. Right? Purpose, then induce. When you give money out, you have to make sure that the money went into the purpose you intended. You give money to build a warehouse. You have to make sure that warehouse has been built. You give money, customer never built the warehouse, he built a house. Only the difference is where. Right? You can't do that. You have to make sure the money you lend went to the purpose you intended. Induce. Need-based finance. I told you on our very first slide, if the doctor gives you overdose, you will die. If you give a lower dose, again you will die. Similarly, when you are lending, you have to make sure you give the correct amount of money. Over lending or reduced amount of lending will kill projects. So it has to be need-based. The amount, required needed amount. Why? If you give a lower amount, they will have to go to the village money lenders. Then very high interest rates. So the business will collapse. Or they can't complete their business. They can't complete their project. So business will never start. So you have to be very careful. Then the other eighth one, viability based instead of security based. We should not lend looking at the security we get. We are not landed proprietors or real estate dealers. Right? Bankers are bankers. Our job is to sell money. Bankers, as a banker, you may call whatever. Some of you may not agree with me. But if you are a real banker, you are a money lender. I'm a money lender for the last 22 years now. From my starting date of this banking industry to date, my main job is lending. Right? So I am a money lender, white collar money lender. The difference we have, village lender and myself or yourself, we speak good language, they speak another language. They collect their money fast, we collect slow. That is the difference. Right? So we are money lenders. Right? So, but though we are money lenders, we should never look at the security and lend money. You should look at the profitability of the business and the credit worthiness of the people behind and lend. හොඳ ඉඩමක් දෙනවනේ අපිට කොහොම හරි මේක ගන්න පුළුවන් කියලා lend කරන්න බෑ. It has to be a profitable business and credit worthy person behind it. Right? So viability based instead of security based. Security is only the secondary way out. I showed you 5 C's of credit. Out of 5, 4 are not security. Only security is the last one. Right? It is only a psychological advantage which the bankers will have over and above the borrower. Why ගේ අපිට mortgage එකට තියලා තියෙන්නේ. ගෙව්වේ නැත්තම් ගේ ගන්නවා. හැබැයි ඒක ගන්න අවුරුදු දෙකක් තුනක් යනවා. Right? Our aim is to get our money fast as possible. right? But it is a psychological pressure we can apply over a borrower. Own stake, that means how much money the customer has invested in the business. It has to be customer's business, not the bank's business. Otherwise, it will become bank's business. Then the commitment of the customer will be very small. Then we have a problem of collecting. Because if the major portion of money is from the bank, major income comes back to the bank. So customer does not have a commitment for this, right? Safety, we did these things, end use. Okay. Now we come to almost the final part of the presentation. And there are three categories of lending. First one is asset-based lending. Basically, we have two categories of lending. First one is asset-based lending. Second one is cash flow-based lending, right? That cash flow-based lending, what do you mean by this? Asset-based lending. We lend based on the asset, based on the asset we have. Second one, based on cash flow. We lend evaluating the cash flow. When you come to cash flow lending, it is two types again, known cash flows and projected cash flows. Known cash flows are, we know that this amount will come to us. I'll give you examples. Then projectors, we project if the sun rises, there will be solar power generated, so we will get this amount of money. Like that, we project for the future. But known cash flow means I know that this customer will get 1 million within 3 months. Known cash flow. Asset base, we look at the asset. We are not bothered about how much they get or how much when they will get money. I'm bothered about what is the asset behind my lending. Can someone give me an example on asset-based lending? I look at the asset. Very good. Pawning. Gayan. Right? Something else? Someone else? We look at the asset. FD loans. Yes. The mortgage, yes, some sort, but vehicle loans, yes. Mortgage loans, leasing, vehicle loans. Mortgage backed, yes, into some sort, but under my previous slide, we should not lend purely look at the security. When it is mortgage, it is pure security, right? Asset base is some sort of a violation of that rule, right? Pawning, yes. When someone comes for pawning of a ring, will you ask, are you married? Dawalta kaalada? Uwahanne? We just look at the gold, we check the gold, we put it to the chemical, or you rub it on the stone, or you throw it on the floor. If salang sounds comes, good articles, right? When you look at a vehicle, say I want to buy a Hyundai or Toyota. If I am going to buy the Hyundai, I need, forget about LTV, 75%. But if I am going to buy the Toyota, I need 90%. Which one will you give me? Toyota or Hyundai? Give me an answer. 90% for the Toyota, 75% for the Hyundai. I'm not discriminating a brand, but this is the perception we have. How many of you are for Toyota? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, 7. Majority are for Toyota. No one for Hyundai? Right? Yes, because we look at the second-hand market. Ability to resell. If the customer does not pay, can we sell it and collect our money? We are not bothered about how much he earns to repay us, when he is going to earn his income to repay us. We never ask those things. We ask, but it is secondary nature. First question is whether leasing or pawning, what is the article, what is the vehicle. Then only we ask, can you pay? Pawning na එහෙම අහන්නෙත් නැහැ. Leasing එකේ can we pay කියන එක බලන්නේ. Only after deciding the vehicle. What is the vehicle? So that is called asset-based lending. Right? This one. Loan is granted based on the value and the type. Oh! Sorry. Right? Lending appears less risky because we know the property asset. Loan based on the value of the property. So it is easy to calculate, easy to find, but the risk of delinquencies. Loan size not based on his ability to pay. Repayment not based on the client's cash flow. Value of property may fluctuate. You buy a BMW, within few months it will drop. Register 500,000 gone. Right? So value of property changes. Then we'll come to the cash flow base, known cash flow base. Right? I'll show you a diagram. This one. You think about DSI here. Then you have SMEs who manufacture the shoes. Then you have distributors who sell the shoes. Right? This manufacturer manufactures and give it to DSI. What will the manufacturer get? Will he get money? No, he will not get money. He will get good received note. Right? He will get only a good received note, GRN. Okay, I receive the goods. You come after 1 month, I will pay. Right? Now the customer will have working capital. We will learn what is working capital later. Day-to-day money required for day-to-day operation. Can this customer come to the factory and give the GRN to the staff? Small pieces and say, this is your salary? No, he can't. He needs to pay money, though he did not get money. Then the bank will, they can come to the bank. Right? I have another question for you. I am that manufacturer. I am the manufacturer. You are my bank. I come to you and tell, I have an order and I have manufactured it. I need 500,000 TOD. Right? DSI will pay me later. Forget about DSI. I'm a shoe manufacturer. Right? I have an order. I need 500,000. I will pay after 30 days or 60 days. Will you give me my money? I'm okay regular customer. You don't have property or anything with me, but I have taken small TODs, I have paid. How many of you are comfortable in giving me this 500,000? Show me your interest. Will you give me or not? If not, why? If yes, why? Otherwise, it's not balancing, right? How many of you are yes? Why නැතුව හරි කමන්නේ yes කියන කවුද? No කියන අය කවුද? I'm not DSI. I didn't tell you DSI. I told you I am a customer. I'm a manufacturer of shoes. And I have given some goods to some party. I need money. Tell me. Yes. No, because you cannot find the buyers. Okay. No. Few more answers, please. Yes. No. 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 Yeah, at this moment of time, even I think I am no. Because I don't know. Not sure about the buyers. Not sure about the customer's ability to perform, which is called performance risk of SMEs. They may ask for an order. They go home and buy a TV. Right? Whether this customer will put money for the productive purpose, he is asking. I'm not sure. So I have an issue there. But I will come to you and say I'm a DSI supplier. I have given money, given goods to DSI. Say 700,000 worth goods I have given to DSI. They have issued me GRN and they have agreed to send money to your account. I need 600,000 to be paid after 60 days. DSI has agreed to pay me after 60 days, 55 days or 60 days, they have agreed to pay. How many of you are comfortable to give me money now? I have done the order. I have delivered to DSI. DSI has accepted the goods and they have given me a letter saying, okay, we will pay you on this date to this bank. How many of you are happy to give me 600,000 now? Yes. Okay. Good. Right. Almost everyone is yes now. Yes. Because now customer has done the job. So his performance risk he has finished. DSI, which is a corporate, we think corporate's credit risk is lower than the SME's credit risk. Now DSI has accepted the goods. They have agreed to pay. Therefore, we are taking the DSI risk. We know the amount. We know when we will get our money. See, supply the goods, GRNO PDCs. So when we are looking at funding this customer, based on the GRNO post data check, PDC's post data check, we are okay. We know the amount. We know when he will get money based on known cash flow. Right? We'll go to the other side of a corporate, which is a distributor. Right? The distributor will get goods from DSI, 30 days credit. Right? Distributor will sell For smaller customers on 60 days credit, right? Now this distributor will come to you again and say, I am a DSI distributor. I want 600,000 to repay DSI to be paid within 60 days. How many of you will give me money? I am a DSI distributor. I want 600,000 to be repaid in 60 days to pay to DSI. How many of you will give me money? Don't be shy now. You don't see anyone as well, and you don't know anyone as well. See, there is a saying in the class or anywhere, you ask a question. You feel a fool for 30 seconds. You don't answer a question, then you will feel like a fool for the rest of the time. Okay, I didn't see you. 30 days, yes, I will give. He gives 6 days, he gets 30 days. Right? You will get. Right? Yes. Any more questions? Answers? Yes. Why? Yes. All are coming yes. Why? One no. Two no's. Right? Why are you not? Why are you giving money? Can someone write? Why you are not giving? Why you are giving money? And the no people, why you are not giving money? Because he has 30 days to. Yes, he has 30 days to pay, but he is giving credit for 60 days. You are not aware. He is not aware. Don't you think it is unfair to the part you? I couldn't read the entire thing. Can you again show me? Was that question to me or is it answer? Yeah, I'm talking about DSI still. I'm talking about two behaviors now, right? I come to you saying I'm a DSI distributor, but I'm not giving you any instrument, right? I'm not giving you any instrument. So if I'm the banker, I have a doubt, will he pay me? Because I have not captured this cash flow. Right? Second, I will come to you and say, I'm a DSI distributor. Don't worry about my taking right? He wants money to pay DSI. You have the option of paying directly to DSI, sending your money directly to DSI. You have that option, right? First guy came to you and told, I am a DSI distributor. I want 600,000 to pay DSI. That's all. He didn't give you any no security, no any instrument. The second one will come to you and say, I'm a DSI distributor. I have 1 million worth of post-dated checks which are to be realized within 60 days. I want 600,000 to pay DSI. Now tell me your answer. Will you give that? Earlier it was only DSI, but I am not giving you any instrument to recover your money. But second one, yes, right? Second one is based on post-dated checks, right? I don't term this as collateral because not because of the yes, thank you. Not because of the check value. I'm thinking when you have the post-dated checks, you know the amount and you know the period when you will get your money. That means you have captured the cash flow, right? You have captured the cash flow of this customer. So he can't go and put his money somewhere else because all his checks are with me. So when the checks get realized, you will collect your money 600,000. You have 1 million worth checks. You have given only 600,000. Even if there are some return checks, still you get your money, right? So it is known cash flow, right? So this part, it is a dispersion of risk because you are getting large amount of risk checks. Here, shifting the risk from SMEs to corporate. So these are cash flow based lending, known cash flows. You know the amount, you know the period, right? So the advantage, default due to fund diversion is minimal. That means you have captured the cash flow. You have taken the GRN, you have taken a letter from DSI, the money will come to your account, bank account. ABC Perras, whatever the bank account. The other part, you have collected post-dated checks. So if they get realized, you will collect. So since the checks are with me, he does not have a way. There are ways and means, but way of going and getting money. I have structured my loan amount and the period based on the GRN or post-dated checks. 1 million GRN, I'm giving only 700,000. GRN says after 60 days, I have given only 60 days. Post-dated checks, 1 million checks to be realized within 6 days. So I have given 750 to be collected within 60 days, right? So known cash flows, size is based on the known cash flow, period is based on the known period. So this type of lending is good only for working capital, day-to-day, short-term funding, right? Problem with this kind of lending is, you have the slide, the amount we lend will be very small because based on the GRN or post-dated checks only we lend. So amounts will be very small. Second one, for startups or low-level income people, the amount they can get upfront is very small. Third one, when you are looking at a project or capital expenditure, when you are funding working capital, those are short-term lending. When you are financing machinery, equipment, vehicle, factories, land and building, those are long-term things, right? So when you are funding those kind of things, this method is not suited because it is based on an instrument, known amount, known period. But for a building financing, it is for a longer period. So you can't finance this. So you have issues with that. Then we come to the last point. Project-based lending, right? What was our three things? Asset-based lending, known cash flow based lending, projected cash flow based lending, project finance, that is called project financing, right? Here, under this category, lending will happen based on projected cash flows, right? We think this way. You have a solar, you want to finance a solar project, right? So what we say, if sunrise, no clouds, you can generate 10,000 units per day based on this equipment. All what you generate will be purchased by the government at a rate of 20 rupees for the next 10 years. Right? What were our assumption? If the sun rise, no clouds, minimum clouds, this equipment will generate 10,000 units. Right? On the other side, whatever you generate, government will buy for 10 years at a 20 rupees a unit. Right? So you now project the cash flow for the next 10 years. You can predict the sun based on the past experience. We don't have no Sundays in Sri Lanka, right? In some countries, there are only 4 hours or 5 hours sun per day during winters and those. But in Sri Lanka, from 6 to 6, we have sun, right? So based on that, you predict the number of units we can produce. Based on that, you can predict the income the customer will have. This is only a projection, right? Predict the income. Then based on that income and profitability, we create a profitability because you know what are the expenses we have to incur. We create a profitability. Then after creating the profitability, we calculate the serviceability of the loan based on the projected cash flow, right? You have to project the production of solar units, confirm purchasing. Based on that, you create a P&L. Based on that, you create the ability to pay or debt service cover, right? So that is called cash flow based lending based on projected cash flow, right? Under this, we will consider the project only. We will not consider security. Those are secondary nature. We will consider, but secondary nature, right? then normally in this type of projects, your security would be the project assets, nothing else. Then we will not consider the balance sheet or the wealthiness of the sponsors behind the project. That is immaterial. Only why we look at the sponsors is to get support to the project when needed. So your aim is to look at the project based on the feasibility of the project, viability of the project, you lend. Based on the projected cash flows. Three types: asset base, cash flow base divided into two: known cash flows. Those are short-term nature funding based on a GRA, no post-dated check, or based on post-dated checks. Second one, projected future cash flow based lending, right? Collateral is of secondary consideration, sponsors balance sheet of secondary consideration. Primary consideration is the viability of the project, right? So with this, we come to the end of the session today. So what we discussed throughout these 2 hours now, almost 2 hours, we introduce what is credit, then we introduce, so I introduce you to yourself, then customer, then we introduce the what is credit, then what is the credit management. Hope you have drawn the diagram which I gave you, right? Then this is for your reading only. Then types of banks, we have, this is the core function of the bank. We have net interest income and you have fee income. Interest income comes from the core business of the bank, which is deposit mobilization and lending. Then we discuss about the types of banks, wholesale and retail. Then we discuss about the goals of lending, 2 goals, and the credit culture, 3 types of credit culture. Then here again you had to write down 5 C's of credit, right? Then the 9 best practices or principles of lending. Then we went on to cover the 3 basic types of lending. Actually, it is 2: asset based and cash flow based lending. Cash flow based expanded to known cash flows and projected cash flow based lending, right? If you have any question before that. Okay. At the last part, you have your this thing, 5 C's of credit details are there. Okay. My contact details are not there. So you can reach me at any time if you want to for any questions. You can contact me on not 777 418 725. If I don't answer, please put me a text saying that you are from the class. So I will call back to you. Right? Right. Any questions? Any not clear points? Right. If you don't have, we will stop here. And next, I think you have 4 lecture notes with you. Right? So institute will send you the detail lecture notes, right? If you are not clear at any time, you can text me so I can see, right? Don't bother to stop me or ask questions while the lecture is going, right? I'm fine, right? Okay, all the best and thank you. So we'll do the second handout next week. Okay, thank you. Thank you.